So I'd like to talk about the Casio BGW-100 or Baby G Frogman as someone with a small wrist. Some might say the size of a tender frog leg. Let me zoom in. I'm feeling a little weird being all the way zoomed out. I'm really excited to talk about this watch. I've had this watch for a while. There aren't a lot of online reviews about this watch, and I want to share 2 pros and 4 cons and just some general comments about this particular watch. Just as a reference, I have a 6¼ inch or 16 centimeter wrist circumference, and a wrist table from basically here to here measures about 2 inches. But just because I have more cons than pros does not mean I don't like this watch. I really like this watch. So let's talk about the boring stuff, which just happens to be the dimensions. So this is a really weird watch to measure, but I'm just gonna give you a general idea of what I got. So from the top here to the bottom here, I got 40 millimeters. I know it's weird because of the way that the case works. From the 9 o'clock to the 3, there's no crown on this one. I got 42.5 millimeters. From lug to lug, which is basically from where the strap, it's kind of hard. It's unusual looking watch. It's a Frogman. But from here to here, I got 48.5 millimeters. In case you're wondering, the glass is 24 millimeters across. It's kind of hard to measure. And the strap, the band, I got it starting out at 23 millimeters at the top, and it tapers down. It tapers down to about 19.5. Again, it's a Frogman watch. The dimensions don't really mean much in my opinion. But why did I buy this watch? Well, I wanted to be part of the Frogman family. Now let me explain. I really like and admire the Frogman series of watches that Casio has. It's a very strange design in my opinion, because the watch it's kind of off-center. If you look at a lot of the Frogman watches, let me zoom in a little bit. The way the strap is offset, or I guess the dial is offset from the strap, it makes it have, I think, a pretty unique look in a watch world where everything is supposed to be symmetrical, right? That's the standard. And so when Casio came out with this Frogman, it's like kind of offset, and it's like a fun little design. The thing is, with most of the Frogman watches, they are way too big for someone with my wrist size. I mean, like gigantic. I tried one on at the store, and while it looks nice at a distance, and I'm like, oh, I wish I could buy it because I wish I could fit my wrist, or I wish I could fit my wrist so that I could buy it, I just can't do it. For the cost, it's way too much for a watch that I particularly think is huge. Again, I'm not a diver. I just wanted to be able to wear one. And when I found out that there was a Baby G Frogman, oh, I was so excited. And so I got one for a really good price online. All right, let's talk about the pros. Pro number 1, it's the fit. I was so pleasantly surprised that this watch is perfect for someone with my wrist size. The dimensions aren't really going to mean much. And so you're just gonna have to kind of eyeball it, because you can't really try these on unless you go to a store maybe in Japan somewhere. But you're gonna have to kind of just eyeball it and just kind of hope that it fits. So I'm hoping that this video will help people who have small wrists, who want to wear a Frogman watch. They'll be like, okay, he has 6¼ inch wrist. This is how it looks. I think it fits perfectly. It'll fit fine on my wrist. It won't be like the huge, gigantic, big ones. This will be the right fit for me. I know these YouTube videos don't really do much. I mean, you can go real wide and make it look, I don't know how to, that's starting to look huge. But you know, you zoom in a little bit, maybe, you know, get it out, I don't know, what is this? Maybe it's like a 75 millimeter zoom, I don't know. But if you just look at like a normal person, like kind of like what you would see when you look down at your wrist, this is probably a good representation right here. Like this perspective right here is what you're gonna see. And pro number 2, its design and features. There are so many details of this watch that I love. I mean, again, with the design, the offset, I think it's kind of charming. I mean, not every watch I want to own, I don't want it to be offset. I like this, you know, the symmetry. But for a one-off watch, for a special watch, I think it looks, I think it's charming. But there are so many details to this watch. Okay, let me take this off. I like watch reviews when people actually keep the watch on instead of just holding it because you can't really tell how big it is. But let me just talk about, let me take it off just for the features, okay? The number one thing that was so important to me is this little frog. There are different versions of this. There is, I think, the whale one. There's, I think, the coral one. But I wanted to make sure that I got one with a little cute little frog. I don't know why, it was important to me. I really, really like that detail. Okay, goes back on the wrist. And in terms of the details, let's just talk about the digital display. It has everything that you need in terms of just telling time. It's your typical Casio watch. This little minute dial on the top, let me zoom in on that. It's nice. It took me a while to figure out like what exactly that was. I don't have a lot of these watches that have that circle, that pie that kind of, you know, it changes as the minutes go by. But you know, it's cute. Light is great. And what I really like about this watch, I hope you can see it. You see that little shark? And I mean, how cool is that? The swimmer with the spear and the shark. Sometimes I'm up at night and I just like play with this. And I just love seeing that little shark go across. Sometimes the shark randomly moves, I think. I don't know how that timer is set, but oh, I love that little feature. I know it's like nothing. It's probably just silly. I don't even know if the regular Frogmans have that, but I love that about this one. And in terms of just basic information, it has everything I need. It has day of the week, it has date, and of course the time is very, very easy to read. As a dive watch, it does have 200 meters of water resistance. This little design with the casing going over the bezel should provide enough protection from extra dings and bangs. This watch is so great. There's just so many good things about it. Can't say enough. Oh, but I will say more. Let's move on to the cons. The first is Baby G. You have to be able to get over the Baby G logo. And I've been wrestling, honestly, with this for a long time. Let me zoom in here. Whether it's something that I would be okay with, just in general. Am I okay with wearing a Baby G watch that has Baby G on it? And I've decided for myself that I really like Casio watches. I want to continue collecting them. But for now, I don't want to wear a Casio that has Baby G on it. It doesn't matter that it's marketed towards women. I just don't want to see Baby G on it. And I wish they would just get rid of that or rebrand it. They don't have to have Baby G on it. It's fine. Like they can just make it smaller. They can market it towards women or for kids, but just kind of rebrand by removing Baby G. However, for this watch, I made the exception because it's a Frogman. And that's how badly I wanted to wear a Frogman. Now, some people may be okay with wearing Baby G. Some people may not. Like I said, I'm not. But honestly, no one's gonna even notice anyway, and it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. But for me, I'm just not interested in wearing Baby G. Okay, and con number 2 is the band. Okay, taking off the watch here. I don't know if it's just my watch or they all come like this. I don't know if you can tell, but right here, you can kind of tell. The color is like a little bit off. I don't know if this is like a strap from a different watch. It kind of doesn't make sense because it has also this little gray trim. And I looked online, I'm trying to figure out, does anybody else have like a gray trim on it? Now, for the most part, if you look online and you see these, they tend to match. Maybe this is dirty, I don't know what it is, but it's like a little bit off. I honestly didn't really notice, and my wife didn't really notice until I pointed it out. It doesn't really bother me all that much, but just a heads up, the band might not match for yours. Again, I got this one used. Mine just didn't, but totally something that I can overlook. It's still the correct strap, the style. I'm not sure it belongs to this particular watch. Okay, and con number 3, the weight. Now, obviously in a heavy-duty diver watch, it's gonna be a little bit heavy. A lot of metal, I think, going on in here. When I first got this watch, I was super excited, and so of course I'm wearing it around the house, not even in the water, maybe just washing my hands, giving the boys a bath. I even slept with it on, but then I actually realized that, you know, this watch is heavy, especially when compared to some of my other watches. It's a little weighty, and after a while, you might not want to wear it all the time. And con number 4, availability. Now, when it comes to this watch, you pretty much have to buy these on the used market, which makes it very difficult. Prices range. Most of the watches are coming out of Japan, which is fine since the Japanese sellers, in my experience, they're excellent. They take good pictures, and what they describe is usually what you get. And anytime I see this watch on eBay go for like $120 or less, oh boy, I'm real tempted to buy another one just because I really enjoy this one. There's different colors and variations, yellow, red, blues, different combinations of the text fonts and the strap font. It's just a lot of different combinations. I don't know all of the variations that came out originally back whenever they came out, but it's really nice to see some of these watches pop up. And the next time I do go to Japan, I do plan on doing some searching for this particular watch used, because I would love to just be able to walk around and see what it's like, find like 3 or 4 of them. And so now just some closing comments. Despite just 2 pros to the 4 cons, I really like this watch. You know, I have a nice growing collection of watches, Casio watches, but when I put this watch on for the first time, when I got it, and ever since I've gotten it, every time I put it on, it still feels amazing. It's way past the honeymoon phase at this point. I just really like this watch, and this is one of my favorites. To me, this watch is just special. It's so special. I think for what I paid for it, to the features, to this offset look, to the Frogman on the inside, like I just really like it. And you know, in a lot of ways, it kind of saddens me when I look at this watch, because when I look at my collection, I know this watch is basically gonna replace pretty much a lot of the divers that I ended up buying. And that's, you know, they're talking about 2 to 3 watches that I like, but now that I have this watch, oh man, this is a special place in my collection. You know, like maybe you just have like a top tier of watches, maybe like a five set. Like those are like the top tier, like God tier watches that you own. This one already gets a spot, like right in there. It just gets that spot. As soon as I tried it on, I already knew, like, I like this watch. This is like a banger. This is a keeper. This is absolutely one of my favorites. While it saddens me that I'm probably not going to be wearing those very much, I do think that when it comes to watch collecting as a hobby, you have to grow, and you have to buy a lot of watches, unfortunately, if this is going to be your hobby, in order to figure out what you like and what you don't like. And I think that's just part of the process. Fortunately, you know, a lot of the watches that I have are fairly cheap, so I can either give them away or, you know, just hold on to them, and it's okay. It's not like, you know, thousands of dollars of watches here. But without those watches, I wouldn't have known that I would have really liked this. And so I would encourage anyone who's looking for a Frogman who has a smaller wrist. I mean, I'd say maybe sub 7-inch, maybe 6.5 and less. But again, mine's a 6 1/4, 2 inches from this point to this point. I would encourage you to check these watches out. You can't try them on, but I think they're absolutely amazing. So thanks for watching.